Hey everybody, this is Dr. Gallegos, and it looks like we're going to delve into section 1-8, and we're going to talk about exponents. And exponents is a different way of looking at multiplication where the factor is the same. So a factor is like a number, like 6 times 6 when you multiply that 6 is a factor. So 6 times 6 times 6, same factor, right? So so exponents is just a shorter way to show multiplication, okay? So the way that we look at an exponent is in two parts. So let's look at 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 times 4, our shorter way to look at it is 4 to the third power. 4 to the third power. Another way to say third power is going to be cubed, which we'll work on that a little bit later on. So 4 to the third power. In this, 4 is called the base. And then the power, or that 3 that's smaller above the 4, that is called the exponent, or the power, right? So 4 to the power of 3, or 4 to the third power are two different ways to say it. But that is an expression. So what happens, 4 to the third power equal 4 times 4 times 4 equals what? So 16 times 4, right? So 16 times 4, because 4 times 4 is 16, and then we got one more there, and we end up with 64. So 4 to the third power equals 64. So again, the 4 is the base, the 3 is the exponent. Okay? And then when you simplify that expression, we get 64. So quick review here. In 4 to the third power, 4 is called the base, and 3 is called the exponent. The exponent's always going to tell us how many times the base is used as a factor. And it also tells us the power of the base. 64 is the third power of 4, because 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. You can use other numbers as examples as well. So let me give you some examples here. Over here, here's example 1. 4 to the first power. 4 to the first power is going to equal 4. Any number to the first power is going to equal that number then, right? So 4 is a factor one time. That's why it's to the first power. All right, 4 squared, or 4 to the second power, that's 4 times 4. That's equals 16. Here, 4 is a factor 2 times. So we can say that as 4 to the second power or 4 squared. Remember, like if it's to the third power, we said 4 cubed. Those are the only two. So second powers, you can say power of 2 or second power, or you can also say for for exponent 3, you can say power of 3 or cubed. All right, so let's find the power here. We have 6 squared, 6 to the second power, and this means that it's 6 times 6. 6 squared, or 6 to the second power, equals 36. So we found the power of 6 squared. We got 36. So what you have to look for the sign of the base. Parentheses can be used to show the base, right? So over here in 2 cubed, 2 is the base. Over here, 12's the base. All right, let's find that power over here. We have negative 2 to the third power. So watch the sign, right? We have negative 2 to the third power. All right, so what does that mean? So we have negative 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. So, but we can't forget that negative sign. So when we find that power, negative 2 times 2 times 2, and then we use that negative, then we found that negative 2 to the third is negative 8. Same thing over here. We got negative 12 to the power of 2. Now, This time, though, the negative sign is inside the parentheses. So that means we're going to say negative 12 times negative 12. Remember, when we multiply two negatives, we end up with a positive. So negative 12 times negative 12 is positive 144. So we found that power as well. Let's do a couple of try these. So we have negative 5 times 3. So negative 5 times 3, and remember it's inside parentheses, so it's negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. So if we multiply negative 5 times negative 5, we get a positive 25, but now we're going to multiply that times negative 5. So our answer is going to be negative because we have 25 times negative 5, right? So 5 times 5 is 25. So 125, negative 125. So this is what happened. So we had negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, right? And we got negative 125 because we ended up with positive 25 times negative 5. All right, we're going to look at 3 to the 4th power here. So we're going to use 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, right? So easy peasy, we got 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9 times 9 equal, you got it, 81. So 3 to the 4th power equal 81. All right, try a few of these and get the hang of it. Remember those rules? They're still going to apply when you're looking at a power because that's the number of times you're going to multiply it by with itself.